Hello family, my name is Chris, I am your home gamer dad, and here we go, back to outer space now, fighting villains like we've never before. I've already covered Power Rangers in Space, one of my favorite seasons in the Power Ranger entire universe, and now it is time to go ahead and do a Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid villain breakdown for the monsters, bosses, boss, and foot soldiers for Power Rangers in Space. So going forward, whenever I do these breakdowns, I am just going to mention again that Renegade has ceased production for Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid stuff. I don't know how long they're going to have them on their website. I don't know how long it's going to be, back stock available and things along that ways. But generally speaking, if you don't have any one of these guys to add to your collection and you would like them, the best way to do that is through third-party means. I don't know, Amazon, local game stores, eBay, things along that ways. I'm really not too sure. But regardless of anything, I find that still doing these breakdowns are very necessary. They help with just kind of getting a good idea about how to go ahead and handle these characters. It's a fun way to do a little bit of breakdown on them, background and like seeing where they come from and how they relate into the game. And then who knows, going forward, maybe we'll see some more stuff from these guys come out. Probably not Heroes of the Grid related, but whatever else that Renegade does in the future for the Power Rangers franchise. In any event, should you not have any of these, you got 3 different locations that you're gonna have to find things. First are the Quantrons right here, which are your foot soldiers. You'll be able to find these within the Power Rangers Rise of the Psycho Ranger big box expansion, one that I have suggested over and over and over again. If you do not have that by now, I recommend getting it no matter what. Because the Psycho Rangers are really amazing enemies to fight. Like, they're a great group of villains to fight within the game. Quantrons are always good to have as foot soldiers, extra locations, things along that ways. And then, of course, I just love the Space Rangers personally, and I think they work very well. Darkconda himself is in the Rangers United big box set. I mean, if you just want Darkconda, there might be easier ways for you to get him, but otherwise that he is in that big box as well. That has Beast Morphers, that has Omega Rangers, that has a bunch of other villains to it as well. The Purple Solar Ranger is in there. I believe that there's foot soldiers in that as well, because it is a big box. If you're only looking for Darkconda, you may have to find some other ways to get him. But for the rest of what's in that box that you may not have, it's well worth it, in my opinion, should you be able to find it, because again, I've really no idea where else these things are going to be available. But for Astronema and Ecliptor, you'll be able to find these in the Villain Pack for a Dark Turn. So it has these guys in it, and the Dino Thunder stuff is in that. So Mesagog and Elise, I believe that is. Lisa, I gotta look back at when I do my Dino Thunder breakdown, which is gonna be in a little bit later, maybe in a few months or so. I'll know her name at that point. But I really want to go back and try to get done a lot of these breakdowns that I've been missing with a lot of characters and a lot of bosses and monsters and foot soldiers. Get all of them out there regardless of wherever this game is going, because I still have great love and passion for this series, and I just want to still show it off as much as I can, play it for you guys, and have us all just eternally love and follow this game even after the Kickstarter is over. If you're new to the way I do these breakdowns for the villains, I like to go over each one of them individually, giving a little bit of a background on them themselves, how their decks break down, any other special features about them, and then I go into each one of their cards, talk about them, describe strategies and ways to handle that, and give them a threat level from 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. That is all, in my opinion, of course, based on how I see and how I read and interpret the card. You, of course, could have a completely different opinion on it. I may give something a threat level 4. You may be like, nope, that's a 3 at best, maybe a 2, or opposite and vice versa. The threat levels I also give them are based on the cards within the set itself. So just like Astronema cards and how they play off of each other, maybe how they play off of other in-space cards or things along that ways. I'm not worried about other cards from other expansions and things along that ways, because there are certain cards out there that can turn a low-level threat into a high-level one, and then certain cards that are way worse than the highest level threat that I have over here. So it really all depends on what you're playing with. Every game is unique, every game is special, and that's why I love this game so much. It's sad to see it end, but at the same time, I can still talk about it, still enjoy it, and still share with you my love and enthusiasm for it. So, With that said, why don't we go ahead and hit those rockets into high gear, head off into space, and learn about the various villains that try to stop our Space Rangers, and ultimately, they don't really want to conquer, like they want to conquer the universe. It's more than just the world, it's the universe, and the ones that are in the way are the Space Rangers. Let us start, as always, with our foot soldiers. Here we go. Astromechanical minions, the Quantrons. One of the few foot soldiers to carry weapons, the Quantrons are Andromeda's personal robotic squad. They do have some intelligence, granting limited speech and able to work together as a squad in order to best fight their targets. Their weapons, the Q-blades, are double-edged blades perfect for close combat. Think the Battle Sword from Star Trek. Is that how you pronounce that? I'm sure you guys will let me know. I'm sorry, I don't watch Star Trek. Being robots, a very odd feature about the Quantrons is that their armor and helmets can be removed, as shown when Andros and Zane disguised themselves as Quantrons in order to save Corone. A very odd feature that's never explored further within the series. Quantrons are foot soldier style enemies, meaning that you're going to be fighting 1 to 4 of them in any given battle that they are present. The cards within their deck generally hit a bunch of different rangers at one time. They do have one that focuses on the lead ranger and requires some type of teamwork to get around, as the Quantrons have a card that work in greater numbers. Every foot soldier has 2 locations tied to them. The first one for the Quantrons is KO35, which has a maximum of 6 enemy figures on this location at one time before it panics. The special ability of KO35 is when any ranger moves to or from this location, they must discard the top card of their deck. This is the negative effect. These things usually have a negative and a positive effect, so the positive can be found at the surf spot. This has a maximum figure limit of 5 before it panics. And the special ability on the surf spot is when any ranger moves to or from this location, they may choose 1 card from their discard pile and place it on the bottom of their deck. So as you see, the last one was a negative removing. This one is a positive adding back to their deck. Within the Quantrons deck, you'll have 3 cards that have 2 health, 5 that have 3 health, and 2 that actually have an X value to them. As far as their keywords break down, 6 of them are blank, 2 are fast, and 2 have a combo keyword of guard passive. Again, sorry about the pronunciation of that weapon, that 2-handed weapon that's used in Star Trek. I really don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sure a lot of you yelled at me right there once I said it. I'm a Star Wars guy. I'm sorry, I love Star Wars. I'll watch Star Wars. I really never watched Star Trek, so I know it. I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with, I don't even remember the races that uses it, but I can picture it in my mind, but I just don't know the name of it offhand. But you can definitely see the similarities between those 2 weapons, the Q-blade and that weapon from Star Trek, that were used for the Quantrons here. Which, again, speaking of which, let's just jump right into it, are the Q-blades. They, of course, have their own card in here. 2 health, no keywords on this at all. It is blank. There are 3 of these within the deck. Deal 2 damage, deal 2 damage. We're just going to run 2, 2, 2, 2, 2 here. Threat level of 2, only because it's 2 instances of 2 damage, and with no keywords on it, it's a little annoying in order to have to deal with. Like, if you're able to get off something that does 2 damage to any card of your choice, not a bad idea to take this down just to give your rangers an extra turn in battle, give you 1 more experience point towards Zord or whatever it is that you're trying to unlock, and to not have to worry about taking 4 damage. And again, deal 2 damage, deal 2 damage. This does not have to be at a single ranger. This can go to multiple rangers, but it also could go to a single ranger twice. It is 2 completely separate instances of 2 damage. Anything you do that reduces damage will only work on 1 of the 2, as they are, again, 2 separate instances. It's 1 and then 1. So you're taking the blade and going 1, 2 is exactly how that works. Next, we have Priority Target, 3 health card, also completely blank of keywords. It makes this very easy in order to deal with because you don't have too many keywords floating around there to have to like figure moving fast or passives or guards or things along that way. So they're just blank right there. Take care of them when you want to. This one is deal 3 damage to the lead ranger, a rare card indeed for a foot soldier to have, focusing specifically on whoever your lead ranger is. That would be the purpose of the token that you would have that assigns that lead ranger at the beginning of every battle. Cards like this will focus on them as opposed to everyone else no matter what. So this is a threat level of 1. This is pretty easily to handle because you know who your leader is going to be. You can protect them immediately, and whoever your leader is, expect them to kind of be the tank of the group regardless. Usually when I play, somebody's a leader that I know has a lot of cards that they can kind of manipulate it to make them stronger, put you what you want on top, or ones that have a lot of star defense powers to them as well to get those counterattacks and those additional bonuses that happen whenever they're revealed for defense. So priority target, if it's on the field and you're able to hit it, definitely do it in order to continue earning that experience. Otherwise, don't worry about it too much. You just prepare for your lead ranger to take a hit and then recover later or use an ability or some type of Zord power. Next, we have the Cyber Slash. 3 health, fast keyword. 2 of these within their deck, so as soon as they come out, they bounce right to the front. Deal 3 damage unless our ranger discards 1 card from their hand to prevent it. Threat level of 2. Yes, you can take a 1 shield card from your hand, toss it, and then no damage at all. So that's why it's not really like that bad of a card, especially if it's fast and you're only fighting foot soldiers. It's pretty nice because it jumps up to the head and the lead, and if you have something in your hand that just doesn't work for this battle, is not going to really do too well, whatever, toss it. Just toss it into your discard pile, no damage done, it triggers, and then you can move on from there. Without any type of guard keyword or anything on it, it shouldn't be that hard to hit because there's only 2 cards within this deck that has guard on it. So having them out, you'd rather kind of focus on them first anyway. But regardless, it's toss the card, don't worry about the damage, or take the damage if you want to play a reaction card from your hand in order to reduce it or to have something else happen. It's all about hand management and figuring out what you can do for the least amount of cards. So this way you're not left struggling when you finally go up against a monster. And the last card within the Quantrons deck, you'll find 2 of these, the Phalanx Formation. This is an X value health card, which is interesting because you really don't see any X values on monsters, on bosses, or especially foot soldiers. Very unique and very fun in the way that they kind of go together here and form almost a wall. Guard, passive keyword. Again, there are 2 of these in there. This is going to be a threat level of 3, just to let you know. Their highest level threat. Drain 1 energy. Never like that when this card resolves. This card's health value is equal to the number of foot soldiers in this location. So if you're fighting someplace that has 7, this could have a 7 health to it. The more foot soldiers you take down, the less this is. It's not like the battle begins, however many there are there, that's the number for the whole battle. This will adjust as you fight. If there's only 4 enemies on the field and you defeat 3 of them, this only has 1 health on it. If you manage to do damage to a spread and happen to put a point of damage on this, defeat the other 3 enemies, this immediately gets defeated because an enemy is defeated when the hit tokens on the card equal their health value. There's a lot of strategy to this, a lot of figuring out in ways that you want to separate all of your damage to it. The only reason this is a higher threat level is because it is a guard ability, and of course it drains energy. I hate things that drain energy, but it's the only guard within the the Quantrons deck. So you're going to have to at least find a way around this before you're able to start taking out any of the other ones. If you're in an area with a lot of foot soldiers, you probably want to take this out first before it does too much. It drains energy and like kind of goes off that way, and prevents you from hitting any of the other cards around them. Traitorous Bounty Hunter, Darkconda. Out of all the villains within the Zordon era of Power Rangers, Darkconda is the most evil of evil. Sadistic, merciless, malicious, gleefully psychopathic. Darkkonda's entire goal in life is to grow in power and become King Darkconda. A famed bounty hunter, Darkconda shows defiance to powers greater than his own, such as Dark Spectre, and has a rivalry with Ecliptor, though they often work together for the common goal of defeating the Power Rangers. This mean menace also truly has 9 lives, so even if he goes down, he'll be back before you know it. Darkconda is a monster-class enemy within Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, meaning that you need to defeat 4 of his cards before you defeat this bounty hunter for good. Watch out because a lot of his cards within his deck have damage that cannot be reduced. So cards that reduce damage, such as Zords or reactions, are useless against this fierce attacker. Within his deck, you'll find 2 cards that have 3 health, 5 that had 4, and 1 that has 9 health to it. Keyword breaks down to 2 of them being blank, 2 of them are passive, and 5 have the fast guard combo keyword to them. That means this guy is a quick one, so as soon as his cards go down, you can rest assured that the Rangers will not be getting the first turn in battle, something to consider when going up against him. But you really got to watch out for those cards that do not reduce damage, such as Brutal Pulse, 3 health, a fast guard keyword. There are 2 of these within his deck. Deal 3 damage to 3 different Rangers. This damage cannot be reduced. Let's just go ahead and give this a threat level of 3 because he definitely has some worse cards within his deck as well. 3 health, 3 damage, 3 different Rangers. Only 2 of them in the deck. Would have been better if there was 3 because it would just continue like that. Still a really annoying card as is because it's just 3 straight damage that's coming at your Ranger without you being able to do anything about it. Even if it's something that you draw, like if it's a star defense power that says, you know, reduce this. I don't think there are any that do that, but should you have drawn a star defense power that says reduce the incoming damage by X amount, it wouldn't matter anyway. Darkconda's powers pierce right through that, enabling him to do his full damage to the Rangers without anybody being able to say anything otherwise, which can really hinder certain teams because you rely on certain Rangers to reduce the damage to keep the Rangers in play. Having this come out is like, oh, there goes that plan out the window. So that is that. Watch out for Brutal Pulse and his Dark Blade. 4 health, fast guard keyword, just like the other one. There are 3 of these in his deck. Deal 9 damage divided among the Rangers as they choose. This cannot be reduced like the other one. I bumped this up to a threat level of 4 because, man, 3 damage to each Ranger. You can kind of figure that out, 3, 3, 3, and work at it that way. 9 damage, like, you want to get rid of this one first because, yes, you can divide that out as you choose, but that can end up making a Ranger who's supposed to be a tank a lot weaker and forcing that damage onto other Rangers that may not be able to take as much as they want to. Like, this and the Brutal Pulse are both really annoying to deal with simply because you cannot reduce them. That's like his shtick. That's his big thing right there. And I've never seen that as well. I don't think I've seen it in any other villains in Heroes of the Grid. This is like a piercing ability, as I said before. I would love to be able to create new monsters and everything using the creator kit that we get from Eternal Ranger with this same ability on it, because I think that is a fascinating thing to work around. It's a great new strategy in order to fight them and makes these cards even more deadlier than they already are. Next, we have his Rending Slash, a 4 health card, 2 of these within his deck, blank in terms of keywords, so nothing at all. So this is going to hit if there's something guarding it from all sides. 2 Rangers who do not have at least 9 shields total in their discard pile must each discard cards from their hand and or top of their deck until they do. This is a threat level of 4 if you can get rid of this thing, because this is targets specifically those that do not have a lot of cards in their discard pile. You start counting up at it and it's like, how many shields do you have? How many shields do you have? And then you have to put shields in there until it matches or exceeds the number 9. Whether it be from your hand, so at least then you can do it that way, or you have to randomly draw from the top of your deck. Now, could there be a situation where all Rangers have more than 9 cards in their discard pile, or only 1 Ranger does not? Yes. So I believe then, and again, guys, let me know down in the comment section below if this was FAQ'd or errated or anything along that ways. Should this be up to 2 Rangers who do not have at least 9 shields? Because if you have 3 Rangers in a battle and 2 of them have like 10 shields in their discard pile, this should still work on that 1 Ranger who does not. This, I mean, if you're going to read it as is, it says 2 Rangers who do not. If you don't have 2 Rangers, does the Rending Slash not work? Does the card then expunge itself and like nothing happens? I don't think so. I wouldn't play it like that, but I'd love to hear your opinions on it as well. It's another reason I like making these videos. So this way, if you have questions, comments, concerns, clarifications, leave them down in the description section below. So this way, in the future, when someone's playing at it, they can actually see this or see it, see what the general consensus is, and know how to really make the most out of their cards fighting against whatever it is this does. And lastly, for Darkconda, we have his 9 lives with 9 health, a passive keyword, the only one in there because he only has 9 lives. While this card is in play, all damage dealt to adjacent Darkconda cards is dealt to this card instead. At the end of each enemy turn, remove 1 hit token from this card, basically healing itself along the way. So anything that's to the left or right, or even on the bottom, it's all adjacent. So left, right, and the bottom, because it's going to be on the top row being a monster, will absorb into this card. At least, all damage dealt. So if you dealt a lot here, it would go to one side. Here would all go, you know, stuff like that. And then the end of each enemy turn, this will heal itself by 1, taking that away. This is a threat level of 3 because it really shows Darkconda's regeneration and luck factor and everything. I never thought he was a cat. He never looked like a cat to me. I mean, Darkconda is like I forget what it is, but it's like dark and anaconda. So it's like more snake-like. So I didn't really think he was a cat, but apparently he has 9 lives like a cat. And in Power Rangers in Space, he did go through all 9 lives. And I have that written down here. His first life was taken to him from the Mega Voyager. Zane the Silver Ranger took a life from him. He walked into one of his own traps and took one of his own lives. Jeez. Ecliptor defeated him twice in combat, taking 2 lives. There were 2 of his lives, number 6 and number 7, that were unknown. He lost them somewhere doing something silly. Because his last 2 lives were recorded from the Galactic, where he was driven over by Zane from the Galactic Rover, and then he basically killed himself and Dark Spectre when he fought him. So interesting life right there for Darkconda, always striving to get stronger, always striving to be just the greatest power in the universe, and always butting heads with our next character that we will be doing in this breakdown. Andromeda's second in command, Ecliptor. Built, not born, as a creature of evil, Ecliptor's background is a mystery. No one seems to know where this legendary warrior came from. A lethal fighter with a brutal and merciless mindset in battle, relishing chaos and destruction wherever he went. And yet, somewhere deep down in Ecliptor was a protector, a parental figure, and guardian to Astronema. He was charged with taking care of her after she was kidnapped as a child by Darkconda, and while training her in the ways of evil, became a surrogate father and mentor to her. His loyalty to her stayed strong and true right up to his end. Ecliptor is a monster class enemy within Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, and like all monster enemies, you would need to defeat 4 of his cards in order to defeat him and earn that Zord level up. Ability-wise, he's kind of all over the place, a little bit of everything for this great warrior, but watch out for that card that brings back all the cards that you've previously defeated. Within Ecliptor's deck, you'll find 7 cards that have 4 health and 1 has 7 health to it. The keyword breakdown is 1 of them being blank, 3 are fast, and 4 are comboed to having the fast guard keywords and 2 being guard passives. You guys usually put this down in the comments, but I'll give you a fun fact this time. Because of In Space being based off of the Mega Ranger Super Sentai series, which is actually a virtual world, not in space, so it's cyberspace, not actual space, haha. Ecliptor's entire character design is based off of a 3D wire frame. I thought that was a really interesting thing, because now that I look at it, I'm like, oh, that makes so sense. That's why he has all these green lines all over him and everything. He's like, kind of there, but he's kind of not there. He's part of a whole, but then not at the same time. It's very interesting to know that. Ecliptor, though, is a fascinating character within In Space because you think he's just a generic goon, a generic grunt that follows Astronema around, but he has a lot of depth to him, especially as the series goes forward, and Astronema is like kind of fighting with this like personality shift within her, whether she's good or bad, and Ecliptor, though he wants her to be bad, still really cares for her. It's fascinating to watch. Let's go with his first card, the Eclipse Blade. There are 3 of these within his deck. 4 health, the fast keyword on all of them. Deal 2 damage to each ranger. Increase that damage by 1 for each shield on the top card of their discard pile. This is a threat level of 3 from Ecliptor's card. If it's fast, it's going to go. There's a lot of fast cards within his deck, but because there's 3 of these, there's a good chance one of these is going to tick off regardless. When dealing with your discard pile, you cannot adjust it at all. It's kind of one of those rules that not many people know about and they don't follow along with. It just kind of is a discard pile. It's right there. You sift through it. You kind of put it back. However, generally speaking, whenever you take damage and whenever things go into your discard pile, your discard stays in the order that it goes in. And stuff like this card affect that because, as you can see here, whatever's on the top of your pile will then further increase Ecliptor's attack, whether it be by 1, so it's going to do 3 damage, or this is going to be a 5 damage card to each, okay, so it's individual, I'm sorry. So it's 2 damage, and then each ranger's individual damage will increase based on the shield on the top of their pile. So it's if you have somebody that can take a lot of hits, make sure that the top one is a single. I'd make sure all of them are single shields, regardless of anything. If you know Ecliptor, you're fighting Ecliptor, and you know this could be something that you fight first, or if you see it later on within the battle lineup, adjust it along that ways. Unlike Darkconda, these can be reduced, so get those reaction cards out. You're going to need them because if you didn't use them on Darkconda, you're going to need them here for Ecliptor. Next we have Eye of Ecliptor, health 4 fast guard keyword. There are 2 of these within his deck. Half the rangers in this battle rounded up must each shuffle their deck, then discard half their deck rounded up. So the reason that they want you to shuffle your deck is because if you had done any type of manipulation to the deck, then you don't know what's there now. So now you shuffle it, it's random, and now you've just lost half of your deck. This is so bad. I would say this is a threat level of 4. There are a few worse cards within his deck that you want to get rid of, but at the same time, it's like losing these cards, you can't prevent. It just happens. However many cards are in your deck, you're going to shuffle it up and lose half of them. Was that rounded up? So it's not even in your favor then. So watch this when you know it's going to come out. It is a guard keyword, so if other fast cards move it to the side, maybe leave Ecliptor Blade for right now, see what you can do about getting rid of it, and then get rid of Eye of Ecliptor before anything else, because at least with the other cards, you're going to be able to, find a way to reduce them, as opposed to Eye of Ecliptor where you can't. It's just an effect that happens, and that is awful. Next, we have his Mirror Image card. There are 2 of these within his deck. 4 health guard passive keywords. While this card is in play, deal 3 damage at the start of each enemy turn in battle. Threat level of 4. This would normally be a 5. The next card I show you is going to be the 5 that you want to get rid of as soon as possible, or at least one of the first ones you get rid of. But at the very least, if both of these are out, then it's just going to do a lot of damage. And I like that because it represents, if he mirror images himself twice, then it's just him hitting. You don't know which one's the real Ecliptor. All of his multiple attacks come at all these different angles. It's kind of a way that he fought within the show itself, splitting himself into different, other solid forms of him, surrounding and overwhelming the Rangers, specifically the Red Ranger. The 2 of them had so many fights during in space. It was insane. And last we have this card, the one that you want to get rid of soon. Threat level of 5, Regeneration. One of these in his deck, 7 health. Flip all defeated Ecliptor cards in this battle face up. They are no longer defeated. Just like with Bones. I covered Bones long time ago when I talked about Rita's minions and everything. This is a terrible card. A lot of his fast cards are going to keep pushing regeneration to the far end. There are some blanks within his, so it may not go all the way to the end every single time you play against him, but it definitely will get moved around depending on when it comes out in the sequence. Just try to get rid of this thing as fast as possible. I know that 7 is a lot to deal. That is a huge number of attack to deal with this thing. But if this triggers, all of your previous hard work has gone for naught because Ecliptor regenerates himself. And he regenerates himself all the time in the show. And I love the fact that they actually incorporated that into the game. Very similar to Bones, but not as hard as Bones because all of Bones' cards were fast. So regenerate was always at the end. Here, it is possible because he does have some blank cards that it will not, or just the guard passive, that it will not be at the end. Still though, get rid of it. Take it out. If you need to fight Ecliptor a second time, at least you know this won't be in the deck. The Princess of Darkness, Astronema. A figurehead in the United Alliance of Evil, second only to Dark Spectre. As a child, Astronema was kidnapped from her home planet of KO-35, then was given to Ecliptor to raise and train her to one day rule the entire galaxy. Astronema has went through just as many personal emotions as she did hairstyles. Seriously, look at all these. She changed them every few episodes. So crazy. She started off cocky and arrogant, turning cruel and stern, and then having a full-on identity crisis after learning the truth about her past. Regardless, Astronema came close several times to defeating the Power Rangers, but in the end, her true nature was revived and turned back into her former self. Andros' sister, Quantrons. Astronema is a boss-level character within Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, meaning that you need to defeat 6 of her cards in order to end her reign of terror. That will require 2 battles in order to do that. She does a variety of different things, no really one single gimmick within her deck, but watch the cards that affect the discard piles, and then of course that drain energy, both of which are awful abilities that she can deal out at any time. Within Astronema's deck, you'll find 2 cards with 4 health, 3 with 5, and 3 with 6. And her keywords break down to 4 of them being fast, 2 of them having the guard keyword, and 2 having combos. She has 1 fast passive and 1 guard passive. 2 passives on the field at the same time could be pretty nasty, but we'll get to those when we actually see them. Let's first start with the Wraith Staff. There are 2 of these within her deck. Health of 4, guard keyword. 1 ranger must discard the top 2 cards of their deck, then deal 4 damage to that ranger, threat level of 3. Yeah, I mean, it's a boss level card. You would think that it would be much higher than that. Most of these should be 4s and 5s. The first few are really not that bad. It's her later ones that can get really nasty if left untreated on the field. This one, yeah, this could actually mean a lot of damage for specific rangers, but because it is a guard keyword and it's not fast, there's a good chance that it's pushed down the line and you're able to take it out before it does any real damage. At 4 health, that is pretty low for a boss card as well. So multiple ranger cards, comboing things together, multiple attacks in one shot, should be able to remove this from her deck no problem. Probably why there's 2 of them in there. So if you get 2 of these on the field at one time, consider that more of a gift than anything from Astronema, because you'll be able to take those down quickly and then prep yourself for another battle in order to finally beat her and win the game. Next, we have the Shatterbolt, a 5 health card. There are 2 of these within her deck. The fast keywords is going to be bounce right up to the front. Deal an amount of damage to each ranger equal to the number of rangers in this battle. I'm going to be honest with you, that's a threat level of 2, my friends. Now, if you're playing a full 6-person game or a 5-person game and you're like, hey, let's all bum rush her, yes, Shatterbolt is a lot worse because the more rangers in the battle, the more damage this does. But being that it's fast, there's not going to really be anything you're going to do about it. If it's drawn later in the sequence, it's going to go to the front, it's going to trigger, you're all going to take the damage regardless of anything. Come back to it later in order to take it down, especially if you need to get rid of guard cards or anything else like that. It's going to happen, the Rangers will get the first turn then, and then start working your way down the line and come back later. It's just, the more range, normally I play just solo mode, which is 3, so this is really telling me 3 damage to each ranger. But if you have less than that and you know this card's in her deck, maybe there's a way that you have certain rangers like the Phantom Ranger or Iggy that has that ability to bounce into battle. Leave them out for the moment being. See if this comes out and triggers, and then they can jump into battle afterwards, which is just a general good way to play anyway if you have those characters. Shatterbolt, not the worst card in her deck by far. We haven't seen that card yet, but we will see something worse right now. Psychokinesis. 5 health to this card. There's only 1 of them in the deck, which is nice. It is a fast passive. While this card is in play, cards cannot leave ranger discard piles. When this card resolves, drain 2 energy and each ranger must discard 1 random card from their hand. If you manage to get this off from the main run, like it's fast, it's going to jump to the front. If you have other fast cards that push it down, treat this as a threat level 4. I'm going to leave it as a threat level 4 because you got to get rid of this. Anything that drains energy is an immediate get rid of. And the fact that this has a unique power to lock down your discard pile. Anything that you have that heals, moves from discard pile to your main pile or anything along that way, you cannot do. Your discard is stuck the way it is. Things can go in it. Things can't go out of it so long as Psychokinesis is on the field. Again, it's a very fun, unique ability that I would like to explore more with other monsters and bosses out there once I'm able to start creating them for myself after Eternal Rangers is up and shipped. But for right now, this is the only one I know of that has this capability. Guys, let me know if there are other monsters in here that have this mechanic or you can see have this mechanic attached to them as well. Next, we have the Dark Matter Wave. 2 of these within her deck. Health level of 6. Fast, and again, just like Psychokinesis, threat level 4 you would treat it as. Granted, if it goes all the way to the front, it's going to trigger regardless, but the more fast that's out there and the more chances that this gets to move down and then take it out as soon as you can. Each ranger must reveal a random card from their hand, deal 3 damage to each ranger, increased by 1 for each shield on their revealed card. This works the same like Ecliptors, I believe it was, where it focused on the ranger's discard pile, where you flip that over. Was that one? Yeah, the Eclipse Blade. That's what I was thinking of, because this is effectively each ranger will have a different amount of damage dealt to them based on what it is here that, reveal a card from their hand. You don't even have to discard it either. It's just you reveal it, you show it. So you shuffle your hand, you reveal it, then it's 3 damage plus 1 for each shield. So each ranger could take anywhere from 4 to 6 damage, depending on the ranger. So it's still really nasty. It's still really annoying to have to deal with. And if you have a lot of cards in your hand, a lot of 3 shields, and you know you're going to be taking a lot of damage, and if all your 3 shields are in your hand, there's none in your deck, and that's just going to eat away at your deck even faster. Find a way to get rid of this card as soon as you can. Don't let it trigger. The other ones are fine. You can kind of deal with them as they come along. But Dark Matter Wave, oh man, love the art. I just love the art on a lot of these cards, which I could read. I got to get into the comics and everything there to see where these are from. But man, what a nasty card. And the last one she has in her deck, there's only one of these in the deck. Hallelujah for that. This was an errata card. I don't know if you'll be able to find what the original version was. I don't remember. It's somewhere within my piles of stuff somewhere. But this is the fixed version of it for Astral Vortex. Health 6, guard passive keyword, threat level of 5, because while this card is in play, each time a ranger deals any amount of damage to an enemy card without the guard keyword, drain 1 energy, and that ranger must discard the top card of their deck. Get rid of it. This has the guard keyword, so that ability will not trigger. Get rid of this as fast as you can, because if you hit anything else that does not have the guard keyword, so using your abilities to get around stuff, to bounce around, splash damage, things along that ways, you're going to be starting to drain energy from your supply, and you're going to be losing cards that are the top of your deck out to your discard pile. If you have her other card out there where you can't touch the discard pile, you're just going to lock yourself out even more. Astral Vortex is easily her strongest card, her hardest card to deal with, and even though it itself doesn't deal damage, it hinders the ranger's progress enough to make all the other cards just that much worse to deal with. Figure out a way to get rid of this. Doesn't matter what hairstyle she's in at the time, knock her wig off, knock whatever coloring she put in your hair, and send her back to Dark Spectre, or knock some sense into her, turning her back to the good side. And there you have it, everybody. Foot soldiers, monsters, and your boss from Power Rangers in Space. Now, of course, when it comes to all these specific seasons, there's a lot more characters around that show up here and there. I believe Elgar from Turbo is a frequent person that pops up here and there as well. Divatok shows up, and because In Space is the end of the Zordon era, you're seeing Rita, you're seeing Zed, you're seeing Mondo, seeing a lot of these characters that fought the Rangers in the past show up all over the place. And I already did a breakdown of the Psycho Rangers because they were a big part of this series as well, but they deserve their own breakdown as is because they are just such an awesome team. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think of these characters from Power Rangers in Space? Have you gone up against the Quantrons a bunch of times, or Darkconda and Ecliptor? There is a scenario within the book for Darkcliptor, I believe it is, or yeah, I believe that's what it is, where Ecliptor and Darkconda merge together into one form. I think it only happened maybe once or twice in the entire season, but it's really just Darkconda being a jerk and forcing Ecliptor to do certain things and trying to take him over and things along that ways, but that's really his character. In order not to miss my breakdown of that, future Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, or any other fun thing I put out for you to enjoy, be sure you are subscribed to the Home Gamer Dad. If you wish to support the channel even further, there are ways to do that down in the description section below. I normally have affiliate links down there for you to be able to find these things, but with Renegade not producing them anymore, and I'm not sure who's exactly going to sell them, just find them where you can and do your best. Check with your friendly local game stores first, always online and everything. Regardless of any of that, your view, your your share, sharing this video around, commenting on the video, and of course subscribing to the channel go a long way to helping the Home Gamer Dad grow. And again, just me constantly coming in and still working on keeping this game alive, keeping this game not so much fresh, but in the minds of everyone out there, because I love it so much. I love the characters. I love the way that it interacts. It's just one of my tops for sure. In any event, thank you guys so much once again. Take care of yourselves and each other. We are family forever, gaming together, whether we're in space or on Earth or in cyberspace or in the real world. I guess if you want to go with the Super Sentai series, doesn't really matter. We're all here together enjoying this game and many, many others like it. Guys, thank you again so much. I look forward to whatever it is I put out in the future, and I also look forward to seeing what the ultimate end for Eternal Rangers is going to be. Until that time and everything else, you guys take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Get back here, you Quantron, you. It went down.